I love lights more than cameras. Up until now, I've been reviewing lights that go up to about 100 watts. Today, we are going to review lights that go from 100 to 500. This is a whole new world. Lights, right, okay. Anyway, anything over 100 is going to be big, heavy, and clunky, usually, like these. And these are studio lights. The reason being, you can't take these outside. They're just there's too much crap attached to them. You've got, look at this, you've got a giant control box on there. Then you have a giant power box. You got a cord going from the light to the control box, another cord going from the control box to the power box, and then another cord going to the wall. This is ridiculous. These things are a pain in the ass. They're really good as far as lights go. Especially these ones here, these are silent. They make no noise at all. They're very powerful, and they're great for studio purposes. But I hate this part here. This is the part that I hate, is all this dangly crap that comes off of it. So they came up with this one here. This is the next model down. This is by GVM. This is a SD300S. It only has a power box, and you control, it's really simple. You just control the, how bright the light is with a knob on the back. I like that. I like simple. And then you still got this thing dangling down there though. So then they came up with this one. This is a new one that just came out. They got rid of this thing. They got rid of the power box, and now they only have a cord coming out of it, out of the bottom. This is the new Zhiyun 300, and this is the new Zhiyun 500. They look exactly the same. I'll get to these in a second. These ones here, this is the top of the line. This is Godox. This is a VL300. The VLs are professional grade. They're really, really good. They're expensive though. This is the 200. The 200 is $550, and the 300 is $750. These things, the reason they are so expensive is because they are practically silent. You can't hear them. The GVM SD300S, it's quiet also. This is, matter of fact, this is almost as quiet as this. I can't even hear if there's a fan going. It's pretty amazing. This is $300. This is half the price of this. This is a 300. This is a GVM 300. This is a 300. This is twice the price of this one. But look how big they are. So now out comes Xune with its 300. And notice it has a fan here, a fan here, and a fan here. 3 different fans. The thing's got a giant heat sink inside. That's what it looks like without the reflector. Anyway, now, this thing costs $430. The 500 costs $580. This 300 is $300. This one is silent. This one is not. You can actually hear the fan, even though there's 3 fans. Now, why are there 3 fans on this, just surrounding these things? And there's all these air slots everywhere. Look at all the air slots and everything. And even then, you're hearing the fans. Well, the reason is you're taking, an LED gets really, really, really hot. It gets so hot, it can actually start a fire. These things are so hot. A lot of heat coming off the LED. The power brick gets really hot also. For the convenience, they stuck the power brick inside here, right next to the LED. So now you've got 2 really hot really hot sources of heat right next to each other, crammed in there. And there's so much heat being generated. That's why you need all these fans. Even with all these fans, you can't get this thing quiet. So when you're paying twice the amount of money over here, you're paying for silence. Here, you're getting the same amount of brightness, and people want the convenience of not having the power brick or anything. It's just a cord. That's all it is. That forces it to have all the heat in here, and you cannot get these things quiet. The 500 is so loud, you can't be doing audio with that. 300 is pretty quiet, but the 500 is so loud. It's quite noticeable. Remember this one here, the Zhiyun G300? Look at that. This is the exact same LED, the yellow LED. It's the same one on both of these. As you know, the 300, if you put it in turbo mode, it goes a lot brighter. It goes out to almost 500. So what I think they did is they took the LED from the 300, put it in the 500, and just kept it in turbo mode. The heat that this thing generates makes the fans go so loud. It's like a jet engine. So that's what I think they did. Look at that. It looks, you can tell it's the exact same LED. I think the 500 is actually a 300 turbo mode. This one I don't think has turbo mode, and it's loud enough as it is. The reason it's loud enough as it is because it's got fans to keep the power supply and the LED cool. So that's the problem with things where you don't have the power brick. They're loud because they generate so much heat. They do come with a separate controller that you plug into, where is it here? There's a USB that you plug in there. And then here's a controller that you can control from a distance. So I could be down here controlling the light. But this is kind of stupid because this LED is so dim, I can't even read what it says. It's so dim. And I can just control it here. It's got a knob here for brightness and a knob here for color. It's an option. I don't need this personally. I like it when the knobs are right on the light. They're pretty bulky in size. So then we go to this one here, the Zhiyun 300, which I reviewed in a previous video. This is $540. I kind of like it, even though it has a separate power brick. This is the power brick and the controller in one. So it has only the LED up here, and then the power brick and the controller here. It's kind of fun to work this thing. I like it. It still has, of course, a dangly thing with a box underneath it. I thought this thing was quiet until I started playing with some of these other ones, and you really don't realize how quiet or loud or bright or dim anything is until you start comparing it with other lights. So I thought this was quiet. It's actually a little, I mean, it is quiet, but it's not as quiet as some of these other ones. But anyway, for a 300, it's pretty good. This is more noise than these two here, which are 300s also. The fan noise of this is pretty much the same as this one here, as the B300 and the G300 are the same noise level, but they sound different. This one sounds like a freeway that's in the distance with cars, or like ocean waves. This one sounds a lower frequency hum, like an air conditioning unit that's nearby. So they sound different, even though they're the same sound level. Okay, let's move on here. And by the way, from this moment on, we are now going to go to the 100s. These are all 100s. And honestly, I never really need the 300s or 200s. I never use them full power. This is just me personally. I always find that I'm using my 300s at maybe 1/3 power. So, and I also noticed that anything above 100, you're starting to get diminishing returns. Even though these are 300s, they're barely even a stop brighter than a 100. The more power, the higher you go with wattage, 300, 400, 500, 600, 1,000, you're getting less and less and less light. Even though it's more light, it's diminishing returns. So I find most of the stuff that I use, I'm pretty good with a 100. I'm almost everything I do, I can do with 100s, or I just have more than, one 100s. And also, one 300 watt is not the same brightness as three 100s. It's not even close. It's just one stop brighter at the most than a 100. This one I just got because it's just so cool looking. It's just a box. So the more simple something is, I love it. This is a new Ulanzi LT026. It's 100 watt, and it's $70. This is only $70, and this is all it comes with. It doesn't come with a reflector or anything. It's kind of cool because it's got this thing on the back. It's magnetic. It's like, this is the controller. Look at this. It's got a cord with a controller, and it has a little dial that you turn, and that turns how bright it is. It's not, I don't think it's bicolor. You just turn the brightness. It's just daylight. And then you just stick it on the back when you like the brightness. I'm going to use the same reflector for all of them, and that is my favorite Godox 7-inch RFT-19 reflector. This thing makes a difference so much. For example, these things here, they come with this reflector, which as you can see is different. If you take that one off and put this one on, this increases the brightness, the amount of light coming out of here, by almost a stop. 3/4 of a stop brighter just from changing the reflector. I'm going to use this reflector for all of these, and I tested with the same reflector. Almost all the 100s have the same light level, almost exactly the same light level, except for one of them, which I'll get to in a minute. This thing is only $70, so you're paying for the cheapness of it. This looks like fan slots, but it's not. There's no holes here. The only way the air can get in and out is these few little slots in the front and these few little slots in the back. But that's not there's nowhere for air to heat to escape here. So I think it gets really hot inside there, and that's why the fan is working so hard and it's so loud. So this thing is cheap. It's only $70, but it's the loudest one of the bunch, and it's kind of hard to do audio with this, but it's cute. I like it. It's a fun design. So moving on to this one here. I showed this one before. This is a Drecast Bolt Ray 800 series. This is 80 watts. This has been out for a while. They started, when this first came out, it was $300. The thing I like about it is it uses 2 NP batteries. So you just turn it on. There. And it's got a simple design here. 2 NP batteries, and you're portable. So this is your entire light right here. There's no cords. Look, it's working right now. No cords, nothing. It's running right now. It just barely makes any. It has a soft fan noise. Yeah, you can barely hear it. So that's really cool about this thing. Okay, but the problem is it's $300. So moving on. Now, look at the one next to it. This one is the exact same thing. Look, it's the same exact dial and control, the same exact front, the same everything. It's the same packaging. It's the same box. It's the same. They just changed the rear. This one's Vmount. This one's NP. But it's the exact same housing, the same everything. This one is only $80. This one's $300. This one just came out. This is Ulanzi. And they came out with this one. This is $80. This is the 120 V-mount. They also have an NP version, so they have different backs. The Ulanzi 120 comes with a V-mount, or just like this, with an NP. And this is actually the brightest of the bunch. With a factory reflector, this thing is the same light level as that. It's 11. With the RFT-19, now you're taking it from, you're adding another 3/4 of a stop. So with this reflector, it becomes 3/4 of a stop brighter than this if you're using the same reflector. That's what I'm saying. If you get a good 100 watt, it can almost be as bright as a 300 watt depending on the reflector you use. So this one, I really like this one. It's the Ulanzi 120. It's only $80. That's a good deal. And look how small it is. And it takes V-mount, and they also have the optional, like I said. So here, let's put a V-mount on there. There you go. So now you have a totally portable light with a V-mount on the back. So this is 80 watts, this is 120 watts, so that's why this one's brighter. They also make a 200, which I don't like as much as the 120. This is bigger, heavier, bulkier. It's the same thing, but this is 200 watts, this is 120 watts. This is $80, this is $200, and it's only half a stop brighter. And look how much smaller and more cute this thing is. I like the 120. This is pretty much the same thing, and it's a lot cheaper, so I like this one a lot more. All right, moving on to this one. This is a GVM to SD80S. It uses 2 NP batteries on the side instead of the back. And that's kind of cool. So you can put 2 NP batteries in there, and there's the display. Whoa, that's bright. My eyeballs. Anyway, so yeah, and so it's just this cute little box. And right here, again, no cord. You have the option to put a cord in here if you want, but look at this. This is portable. It's a box, 100 watts.
It's quiet.
Yeah, this one's really quiet too. Very soft fan. You can barely hear it at all. This is $120, the GVM SD80S. All right, moving on. Here's another GVM. I think this is an earlier model. This is a LSP80S. This one is so simple to use. It just has a dial in the back with a click. It clicks it on, and it's only daylight. It's not bicolor. And you just turn all you do is adjust how bright it is. That's all it is. It's so simple to use, and it's super quiet. This thing is almost silent. Now, the interesting thing is it's a hit or miss. This one is silent. It makes no noise at all. Like I had it running for an hour, and it made no sound at all. I have 2 other ones of these. They are not silent. They make a little more sound. They're not super noisy, but the noise level is a little different for some reason. I guess because they're not, quality control isn't as strict, but they're pretty quiet. And these are $120, and I like them because they're so simple to use. The GVMs are pretty quiet. I really like them, and they're so easy. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going make it even smaller, because you know me, I like small. I'm actually going to cut this handle off. I don't need this handle. So imagine this without this handle. It'd be a pretty small unit. Speaking of small units, that sounds wrong. Okay, let's go to this thing here. Look how small and flat this is. This is a FIDO FD100D. It's just a flat box, and it's just so cool as a flat box. I mean, it's kind of like this thing here, but even flatter. This has a control box down here. This doesn't. This is a 100, and it's $140, and you can get these sometimes on AliExpress for $86 if you find it at the right moment. And it's super quiet. This makes almost no sound at all. It's almost silent. And it comes with, you can get it with a reflector like that, but it is Bowens mount. So the reflector that it comes with screws on like that, which is kind of interesting. But it also has a Bowens mount, as you can see here. And it's much brighter when you use this reflector. So that's the only thing about, if you want the most amount of light out of this thing, you got to use this reflector, which adds another 3/4 of a stop, and then you can get massive amount of light out of this thing. But look how portable it is. Look how small this thing is. Now, the only thing I don't like about it is it runs on USB power, so you got to have a power brick dangling off the bottom of it, which I hate. I like things that have the batteries here and stuck to the actual box, like stuck to it. This one, you have to have a separate power supply. You can plug this in the wall also, but okay, $140 for this. Now we get to the famous Zhiyun X100. They're like $200. This is the smallest one of all. It's a little bit dimmer than these. It's like half a stop, not as bright because of the smaller reflector. If you use one of these giant reflectors, I'm sure it would be just as bright, but it only takes the smaller reflector, and it does have a Bowens mount option, but it doesn't give you the same brightness. The thing I like about these is they're really, really small, obviously. They're practically silent. The thing I don't like about it is it comes with this battery, which is a $100 battery, and these are not, from what I can hear, I had 3 of them just stop on me. So I don't think the battery's that dependable, and they only run for like 30 minutes. But the good thing about it is they click to the side like that. So the light is 200, the battery's 100, and then here's your whole portable system. Now you can plug this in the wall if you want, and you can use USB power from a separate power brick if you want to do that too, which is what I suggest. This battery it's heavy, it's expensive, and it only runs for 30 minutes, and sometimes it doesn't even work. So I would suggest a power brick like this or something to run with this. Now the issue with these smaller lights is you can't do this. You can't do a big giant softbox. That's what these big heavy lights are for. So if you want to do big professional work, then you should go for some of these. Now these have Bowens mount on them, and they can have some medium-sized softboxes. This one, actually, the G300 can handle that big softbox because the pivot point is right here. So all the weight there's no weight on one side. The softbox is right attached to and it has a strong bracket. So these things here can handle big softboxes. These ones can handle medium-sized softboxes, and these things kind of are like for small, like umbrella, like a lightweight umbrella or just a reflector. Nothing big, but you know, I don't use really a lot of softboxes anyway. When I'm outside and I'm traveling, that's what these things are for, is for when you're traveling, you know, taking with you. Then I just put the bare light right on my face. Like I don't even worry about softboxes. But anyway, that's the thing about big, heavy softboxes. You need the bigger, heavier thing. So I'm rambling. Oh, and then there's some other ones here. Obviously, you've got the Yadablo ZC100. This is $150. This is also almost silent. It has an NP battery slot on the side, so you can put a NP in there if you want to power it with an NP. It's one stop dimmer if you use the NP than if you use the USB or the wall power on the bottom here. But it's nice to know you've got the option of putting an NP in. So these are the 100s. And then you can always go down to something like this, like the X60. This is not 100, but it's almost as bright as a 100, and this is really, really small. So if you want small power. Anyway, so I highly suggest you get the Godox 7-inch RFT-19 reflector. It's only $19. This will add 3/4 of a stop amount of light to your light. And I generally use this kind of stuff. I use smaller 100s because they're portable. They're more easy to use. They don't need any dangly control boxes. They don't need power boxes. I like portable, and all you need is a good reflector to get some good power out of it. These things here, they're expensive, they're big, they're mainly just for studio use, and you don't move them around very much. You put them in place and you leave them there, and if you do move them, you move them once a month or something. But if you move them more often, then I suggest you use some of these things. These things have more louder fan noise, but the reason they made these is because there's nothing here other than a cord. There's no dangly box. I would rather have a quieter unit with a dangly box. There was a light that I had. It was this really cheap one. You could plug it in the wall or have 2 NP batteries on. It was only 60 watts and it had some fan noise. It was kind of cheap and plasticky, but I kind of liked it because it only had the cord coming out the back. It didn't have the power brick or anything, and I liked that. The reason it could get away with it is because it was only 60 watts. Anyway, there you go. Here's the 100s to 500s. I don't use generally anything over 100 very much. Unless I'm doing big, powerful studio stuff with a softbox or something. But even then, they're at 30%. So I think it's overkill, for me at least, to get things that are, 200, 100, and 200. That's all I need, personally. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this. I like little, small things. Even if I'm working indoors, it's just more fun. I don't like big, heavy, bulky, awkward things. Anyway, I hope you got something out of it, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye. And oh yeah, if anybody wants the Zhiyun B300 or 500 or the Ulanzi 100, I'm giving them away at marcusfix.giveawayenter.com.